Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Jam Season 2 finale. No skaters yet, but we do have roller ref Tom in the building. Say hi, Tom.
Hello.
So we are actually going to play a very fun game this evening. We're going to play an old ESPN classic, Stump the Schwab, Roller Derby Edition. Your contestants are Chuck.
Hello.
Johnny Dangerously. Big Pimpin' Jay-Z. Roller Ref Tom.
Hi.
Rockin' Reese.
AKA Bo Sanders' long lost little brother.
And our queen, our female co-host, Ashley Stoddard. We still haven't come up with a nickname for Ashley, so we're just going to go by Stod for now. Okay, that was a bad attempt at comedy. Everybody boo me. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. This is question number 1. If you miss when you guess, you're out for the round. Okay?
Okay.
Rob, are you keeping score?
Yes, we'll be good. I got it.
Okay. You got all the names wrote down.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna start in order. We're gonna go Chuck, Johnny Dangerously, Big Pimpin', Roller Ref Tom, Rockin' Reese, and Ashley in order. Remember the order. Okay? So, the very first question, it looks like we have about 18 answers. So, max points, if everybody gets one correct, will be 3 points a person. In the cities mentioned in the Rock and Roller Games theme song, name the cities and the corresponding states with them. Chuck, begin the game.
Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Out. Unless it was the very first one mentioned and I didn't understand it, then I'll give you credit.
Because I said Kalamazoo, Michigan.
That was the one I think that was the first one, wasn't I? Missed that one. Yeah, I did miss that one. Okay, so he's right. He's still in. Johnny Dangerously, go ahead.
Is that a point for Chuck?
That is a point.
All right.
Johnny, go ahead. You are not allowed to listen to the song. If you are listening, you are out. Good try,
No cheating.
John.
No, I'm not listening.
And I will mute you if you do any kind of cheating.
I balk on this one.
Oh, John's out.
John's out. Big Pimpin'.
Wow,
Wah, wah, wah.
there were actually other songs on that soundtrack I like better, so I'm in trouble. But I'm gonna take a stab in the dark at Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix is correct.
All right, 1 point for Jay-Z.
Roller Ref Tom.
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago is definitely mentioned.
All right, 1 point for Tom.
Rockin' Reese.
Cleveland.
Cleveland was not.
Reese is out.
Ashley.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Not mentioned.
All
Sorry.
right.
Did Roller Ref Tom actually get a guess? Oh, yeah, he did. He said
Yeah.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're actually already down to 2 people. Ouch. Or actually 3.
Yeah,
Chuck.
Chuck's 1, Tom's 1, Jay-Z 1.
Yep. Okay, Chuck, go ahead.
I'm trying to go through it in my mind here. I'm just gonna try and take a stab. I'll
Singing will give everybody the answers.
that's why I'm going through my head. There's not much in there.
Well, we already know that.
It's like Marlo Thomas's initials, M&T. I'm gonna say Los Angeles, California.
Definitely LA.
2 points so far for Chuck.
Jay-Z.
New York, New York.
New York was mentioned.
All right.
Roller ref Tom.
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis was not.
Oh,
We're
all
down
right.
to
So it's
two.
down to
And
Chuck
John.
and Jay-Z.
Chuck and Jay-Z.
This is such good shit.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, shit. Come on, Cooper, where are you? I want to hear you now. No. Let's see.
Trying to channel your inner David Sams here. Tom appreciated that one.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to try, say here, Kansas City, Missouri.
St. Louis was not mentioned,
He
but
said Kansas City.
Kansas
Kansas
City
City.
was mentioned.
So 3 for Chuck.
Yep, John.
Washington, DC.
Was there any doubt that you didn't know that one?
It's a little, you know.
Chuck?
Back to me again.
Yep,
So we got 1 point for Jay-Z.
yep.
3-3.
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando was not.
Oh,
John, you can really separate yourself from everybody here.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Actually, I didn't write that one down, but yes, it was.
oh, Jay-Z takes the lead.
Continue. You continue until you miss.
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas was mentioned.
Wow.
Five.
He's making that playoff push like his Padres.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta was not.
Oh,
Oh,
So let's go through them. The ones that we did not name. Honolulu, Hawaii. Austin, Texas.
Hmm.
Nashville, Tennessee. Buffalo, New York. Cincinnati, Ohio. Whoever said Cleveland, right state, wrong city.
Yeah.
Close read.
Washington, the state he actually mentioned. He also mentioned the state of Mississippi, but we weren't counting those.
Hmm.
Fort Worth, Texas was mentioned. Dayton, Ohio.
It's like
San
2 Ohio.
Francisco, California.
That was going to be another one of my guesses.
Bangor, Maine.
Yep.
And the most random one of all, and the reason why this question actually I wanted to ask it was because the one city that was mentioned, Kokomo, Indiana, of all randomness.
I wonder why.
Well, I mean, so Kokomo is actually a city that's like 90 minutes south of me. And it's right on US 31. And I was like, of all random cities, I mean, you could have named Indianapolis, you could have named South Bend, you could have named Gary, Indiana. I mean, although who would want to mention
Evansville.
that city? You know, because we already have a famous group from there, the Jacksons.
Yeah.
But
And the Beach Boys sang about Kokomo too. So
Yeah.
that was actually down in the Bahamas, though.
yeah.
oh.
I
Yeah,
love that
Rob-
Beach Boys song.
everybody knows.
No one
I'm gonna
watched
stop right there because
Rockville,
I'd
yeah.
sing.
Who was the one singing that?
Believe it or not, I think it was Chuck.
That wasn't me.
Who was singing Beach Boys?
That was me.
Oh, it's John.
Hold on one second. You know,
Oh,
around the horn here too.
he's getting the pardon and the interruption treatment.
Around the horn. Yeah,
Yeah.
around the horn.
Oh, yeah, around the horn.
Bill
My
Reality.
bad.
Yes. So, like it around the horn, when you do or say something stupid, you get muted. So, Rob, take away a point from John for stupidity there.
Will do.
Go ahead, John, unmute. Okay. Oh, come on. You guys all knew that was funny.
No, I'm not, I'm
As
laughing
soon,
because it
as
was
soon as I
fun.
hit the mute, John, I
Funny as
seen him
hell.
laughing because he knew where I was going with it.
God
All
damn
right,
it, John.
we got a skater coming. We got Icebox coming in.
All right.
Icebox.
That box.
There goes the neighborhood.
That's such good shit.
Oh, yeah.
Don't piss him off. You might get into the deep freeze.
That's what she said. I mean, I did say it's no longer a PG show, right? Okay.
You did.
We're at PG-13 now.
TV 14.
TV 14 we are.
Wow.
Okay, so round 2. Uh-oh.
Here you come.
No, not Icebox.
Oh, okay.
What do we got?
We're having technical difficulties.
Vegas had always had this on the final episode.
Oh,
Hey, Rob,
yeah.
we're having technical difficulties.
Okay.
Chuck's just nodding. I think he knows what I'm referring to.
And as soon as you said it, instant I knew.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Aaron Judge just hit a home run.
About time.
They just tied. It just tied at 2-2.
Okay, here we go. Round 2. Now, I did not miss, I might have missed some. So if you guys can help me out on this, I got about 25 here on this one. Round 2, we're going to go in the same order. So Chuck, Johnny, when he comes back to camera.
Jay-Z has a small lead.
Yep.
And this Mariners Astros game is still on.
Roller ref Tom, then Rock and Reese, and Stod. So here we go. No cheating, no looking, everybody. I want to know American teams only for Roller Games International, the American Roller Derby League, the National Roller Derby League, and the World Skating League. Must name the full team names. Nicknames only do not count. You are out if you just name their nickname.
And possibly muted.
No, you're not going to get muted for that. If you talk WWE or turn it into a WWE discussion during this round, you will get muted. I wasn't pointing fingers. Why did everybody laugh?
Oh, God damn it.
It's some funny shit.
So, okay, here we go. Chuck, kick us off.
Okay. I wouldn't be true to them if I wasn't a true fan. So the Los Angeles Thunderbirds.
Well, duh.
Point for Chuck.
Okay. Johnny Dangerously.
San Francisco Bay Bombers.
Was there any
Point for-
doubt about that one?
Point for Johnny. His first one of the night.
Okay. Jay-Z.
New York Chiefs.
Of course. Just let you know, I'm deleting them out of my phone as they're being said.
I'm having technical difficulties here. All right, no, I'm good. All right. 1 point for Jay-Z.
Okay. Roller ref Tom.
Western Renegades.
That's a good one.
Was there any doubt on that one either?
Yeah,
All
my
right.
favorite team.
Rock and Reese.
California Quakes.
Well, I mean, come on. Are we really going to go the entire round without naming the Roller Jam teams?
Yeah, hey, that's part of the show.
Reese is on the board.
Finally.
Stereo.
And no, this show and this game was not culturally biased. That was a joke from
Right.
Blue Chips, if you remember.
Yes.
Anybody remember that movie?
Yeah, when Shaq and Nick Nolte are talking about AT scores.
We watched it, but we tried not to sometimes.
John
No offense,
remembered it
Jack.
as soon as I said the movie name. He's like, "Oh my god, now I know where that. Now I remember." Okay, Ashley.
Illinois riot.
Okay.
Ashley is on the board.
About time.
So I will go over now all the total points. So right now, Chuck's got 4, Tom's got 2, Ashley's got 1, Mr. Dangerously's got 1, Rockin' Reese 1, Jay-Z in the lead with 5. Playing like his Padres right now.
I would go there with a joke, but remember, everybody's gonna see this video. Rob, I'll tell you the joke later that was coming to my mind.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've identified that it was not clean. Go ahead, Chuck.
Any doubt?
Okay, another team I can come up with right away is the Midwest Pioneers.
Wow. Also known as what city? Midwest or
Oh,
just for fun?
So it's Midwest.
Let's give him a bonus point if he gets this.
Yeah, bonus point if you know what city the Midwest Pioneers are actually originally based out of. And this
Kansas
will
City?
actually be a steal, so anybody on the floor can actually steal the bonus point.
I'll say Kansas City.
No,
Chicago.
but we will give them the Midwest Pioneers. What was that roller ref, Tom?
Chicago.
Bingo.
All right. Tom gets the bonus point.
Okay. Who's up next?
Johnny Dangerously.
John, go ahead.
Nevada Hot Dice.
I mean, John, we knew you were going to just like name all the roller jam teams. It's like you naming off all WWE wrestlers. Sorry, that's just way too easy. Jay-Z.
Hey, he's gotta get the points.
Detroit
Get the
Devils.
layups.
Yep.
Another point for Jay-Z.
Yep. Okay. Roller ref Tom. He stole the bonus point a few minutes ago. Can he continue the streak?
Yeah, Detroit Devils.
Jay-Z just said that one.
What did Jay-Z say?
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit Devils.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay-Z just said it.
Yeah, he did.
Oh no, sorry, Tom.
Oh, do you want me to get another one then?
Yeah, I'll give you a freebie.
Okay, New York Bombers.
Of course. I want to clear the board on this one. I think that's only fair.
Hey, Philadelphia Warriors.
Really? Really? We knew you were going to name that one, Rockin' Reese. You probably would have been a captain of that team 20 years ago, before electricity. Go ahead.
Only if I was about Richard's age at that point.
Go ahead, Stod.
Hot flash.
I didn't say rock and roller games.
Oh, you didn't? Well.
Say what?
Wrestlers. Texas wrestlers.
Yes, Texas Rustlers. And the
All
roller
right.
games teams do not count here. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, how about this one? The Texas Outlaws.
That is a very outlandish answer, but it is correct. Johnny.
Florida Sundogs.
His
John's
home state.
John's favorite team because he lives there.
His home state, Florida Sundogs.
Yep. Hometown boy. Jay-Z.
Southern Jolters.
Give him another point.
The battle of Jay-Z and Chuck.
Looks like
With
a nice
Tom
circle
creeping
jerk.
behind.
It's
Oh,
like
I'm
a-
sure he's gonna sneak up on him.
Looks like a
Oh,
twin
fair.
jerk off to me, but that's besides the point.
It was there.
John, you just wish you could be in that and make it a circle. Anyway, Jay-Z's like, oh my God, has he been drinking today? No, the answer is no. I just said I was going to be very TV 14 for this
14, yes.
episode.
I have to say, do we need a Drager test on you?
No, you might need to hit the mute button on me though.
I don't think I have that option.
Exactly.
Yeah, say host privilege.
Okay, who named the last team?
GC, so we're on Tom.
Tom.
Okay, Baltimore, Washington Cats.
I'm just going to throw my phone in the air. Go ahead. Continue.
Good. New York. Sorry, Alicia. New York Enforcers.
You know, we all say he's Mo Sanders' long lost brother.
Well,
I think Rock
hey,
and Reed's
that's
probably a
because
little bit more.
Ashley already took the riot from us.
Yeah, but I think Rock and Reese is a little more closer to Tim Washington than Rock and Reese.
No, 'cause wait a minute. I never had Ray like load up my bike with some chili.
Okay, continue on. I need Rob to pay attention here. I have to send a message.
Ashley.
Yeah, I can't think of one. So pass. I'm out. Which goes back to Chuck.
Oh, no.
Ashley, did you just get a point, Ashley?
No,
No,
not. Pass.
she dropped.
What'd she
You did?
say?
She passed.
Pass.
Pass? Out.
Yep.
Let's see.
All right, so Ashley's got 2. Now we're starting back with Chuck.
Let's see. So, trying to think of all these other ones. I'm gonna go for, I'm gonna say Northern Hawks.
Yes. The
Point for
Northern
Chuck.
Hawks also had another name. What city were they from? Bonus point time for a steal.
Seattle.
Chicago. Chicago Hawks was the original name.
With the steal. Guess who?
Why do all my answers start with Chicago?
Who got the bonus point?
Who do you think?
Tom.
It's the ref.
Tom got the bonus point. All right.
It's the guy that wore the zebras.
He's creeping.
Rob, be careful of that word, please.
Not that kind of creeping.
Yeah. It's about to say,
Johnny,
as long
go
as
ahead.
if TLC ain't up in here, you can't use creep.
Uh-oh, we got a skater in here.
Hey,
What do we
Robert, you're muted.
Hey,
Hi,
Robert.
Bobby. How you doing?
You're muted.
Icebox is muted.
What's up, Icebox?
We'll let Icebox jump in. He won't be eligible for the win, but he'll be eligible to play if he wants to, or he can just sit in and have fun and make fun of everybody like I am.
I'm
Bye,
blanking,
Bobby.
so I'll pass. I gotta pass. I'm blanking right now.
Okay, Johnny Dangerously out. Rock and Reese.
Oh, dude, you're just stepping right
Oh,
over
wait,
JC
John.
and Tom.
Yeah, hold on here. Jay-Z.
Yeah.
New York Eastern Express.
Continue.
Check.
Continue.
Takes the lead.
Can you hear us now? Ice, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we
Anyways.
go.
What's up, Ice?
How
Icebox.
y'all doing? How y'all
Hey,
doing?
how's it going,
How's
Box?
it
Hey, how
going?
are you doing?
All right.
Good to see you, Box.
Good to see y'all. Is that Chuck?
That's me.
Chuck Gray.
Good to see you, Ice.
How you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
We're actually in the middle of a game, Icebox. So
There's
hang tight
Anthony.
and
Hey, Captain.
Oh,
Boy there.
Anthony.
Quit
In
looking
the
up there.
house.
I can see your reflection in your glasses. No, I'm just kidding.
Howdy.
it's
See a
better the
suede
reflection on
jacket
his
there.
glasses rather than the bald head from Icebox.
Wow.
Ooh.
That was low.
Okay,
Okay.
stick 'em in. Stick 'em in.
Could be worse. You can still see me seeing my sunburn.
Do you have to take off your pants for us to see it?
Oh, wow.
Thank God, no.
Okay, where are we at? Who's up next?
Tom.
Roller Ref Tom.
Okay, Tri-City Bucks.
Okay, just keep going.
Me.
All right,
wait a minute.
I'll go over the points right now. Chuck 7, Tom 7, Ashley 2, Dangerously 3, Rockin' Reese 3, Jay-Z 8.
All right. Let's see.
We got a game.
It's close.
And it's
Well, to some people.
who's still left? Is it
Uh,
is it the three?
Yeah, I'm up now, actually. Well, since I remember this lawsuit happening, the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, wow.
That was a good one.
Right, that actually.
Way back.
Such good shit.
That was way back.
Mhm.
Way back before electricity, damn it.
I was like, thank God nobody said that one because I was like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, lawsuit. That's
Who's up now? Is it back to Chuck?
yeah, back to Chuck.
Okay.
Oh, let's see.
Come on, Chuck.
I don't think it's been said yet, but I'll say Florida Sun Dogs.
No, it's been said.
Yeah,
What
it's
has
been
been?
said.
Out.
Yep.
Chuck is out.
Oh,
Yeah, all the WSL teams have been named now.
And just say, hey, all the roller dream teams have been said.
Yep.
Yep, all the
Hey,
roller jam
guys.
teams have been said.
Let's hear from Icebox.
What was the question?
We need to know roller derby team names from the ARDL, the NRDL, the WSL, and Roller Games International.
You got the New York Bombers, the Golden State Bombers, the Texas Outlaws.
That one has already been said.
Okay.
We'll give Icebox 2 there.
Mhm.
Rob, mark Icebox down for 2.
All right, Icebox got 2 points.
Okay. Who's up next? Roller Ref Tom, or is it Jay-Z?
I think it's me.
Yeah, it's Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
All right. Hawaiian Warriors.
Give him another point.
Jay-Z can take a commanding lead right now.
Roller Ref Tom.
Roller Ref Tom.
Southern Mustangs.
Oh, Tom.
Just keep marking the points.
Another one for Tom.
Wake me up when this is over.
Oh, this is such good shit.
All right, even though I know this probably isn't going to count, but I'll just throw Weber's team up here. The Cincinnati Battering Rams. Mark, by the way, I want to get a shout out for that because I named your squad.
Well,
Was that a point for Reese?
No.
Let's ask everybody for their let's ask everybody for the expert expertise. Did he actually get a point there?
what was the name of the team he mentioned?
Yeah, Cincinnati Battering Rams. I'm gonna tell you right now, no, it's not a point.
No, and you're getting muted for that.
No,
You blew it.
no.
Unmute Reese.
I'm tempted to dock you a point right now, but we're not gonna.
Hey, at least I was upfront about it.
That's where you blow it.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
What about,
Are we back to Chuck yet?
Yes.
I'm out.
That's
Oh,
bad.
Oh, no.
he's out.
Yeah, just
go
Jay-Z
with
and Tom.
let's try El Capitan Anthony. Let's see what he got.
Do what now? What's the question?
Can you name a roller derby team from where, Bill?
The World Skating League, Roller Games International, the National Skating Roller Derby, the NRDL, the National Roller Derby League, or the American Roller Derby League.
Okay, I know this is wrong, but I'm just gonna throw that in there anyway. Okay, so I could say Hot Flash, right?
No.
We didn't say roller games, rock and roller games.
Oh, okay. I don't know nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, you do. No points.
Wow.
Gus, you want to give it a shot?
Northern Devils?
Actually, that was already said, wasn't it? The Northern Devils.
No, that was Detroit. I think that was Detroit Devils.
Yeah,
That was said.
Yeah, that
Right,
was.
Red Devils were said already.
Yeah. But I think they were originally the Northern Devils, weren't they?
No, I think they were the Detroit Devils first.
Yeah, but it was the other way around. They were Detroit Devils, and then when they started doing the games on ESPN, they were the Northern Devils.
Yeah.
Of course, managed by the legendary Ms. Georgia Haas.
The late great Ms. Georgia Haas.
I think we could give him a point for that.
Yeah, who just named all that? Was that Chuck?
No, that was Gus.
That was Jay-Z.
That was Gus.
All right, Gus is on the board. My fellow Long Islander on the board.
Of course.
Not a Padre fan.
Hey, Gus, please do not ever do that again.
What did he do? I didn't see it.
Gus, you repeat it, you're getting muted. We'll have to go
Icebox?
back and watch the footage. Anyway, we're back to John, right?
No, Icebox.
Oh, yeah, Icebox.
The New York Dynamites. The New York, the New York Demon.
Was it,
The North.
Yeah.
The
Icebox with the killer.
The
Point
North.
for Icebox.
The Northeast Braves.
You notice I'm just like this.
And the
Yeah,
card.
Bill's doing his impression right now of everybody at the Mariners game right now.
Yes, mid-14, scoreless.
Unbelievable.
The Cardinals.
So I'll be right back, guys. Hold on the points. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So that's 3 points for Ice. All right, who we got? Okay, so who goes next?
I
I
do.
think it's only just Jay-Z and Tom.
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody keep track of how many they get right between the two of them.
All right.
Right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Jay-Z.
Southern Stars.
Continue, ref.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Okay,
roller
Tom.
ref, Tom.
Okay, now, does this go all the way back to roller games when it started in 61? Is that included?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go back to the really old ones then. One of the original teams in the league in 1961, the Chicago Cyclones.
Yep.
All right.
So what is that? 2 points for Tom?
Yep.
One for Zoni.
One for
All
Zoni,
right.
one for
One for Tom.
Tom.
One point for Tom. And one for Zoni?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one each.
Okay,
All
Zoni,
right,
continue.
so Zoni now has hit double digits. Tom is at 9. Chuck's lead is starting to go Bye-bye.
Okay, Zoni, continue.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun.
And I've never forgotten how a great teacher can change a life.
All right.
So I increased funding so our schools can pay our teachers more.
Eastern War Chiefs.
Make sure the parents
Just keep rapid firing them.
children's education, because education is for all children.
Icebox, you want to try one?
Did someone say the Mustangs?
Nope. Give him a point, Rob.
All right,
Tom.
6 points for box.
Okay, another team from roller games, the early years, 1962, the Orange Empire Bobcats.
Wow.
Ooh.
Nice. Nice.
John, just rapid fire back.
Hollywood Hawks.
Yep. Box.
Wow. I'm Pioneers.
That one
Chicago?
was said earlier.
Oh, okay. Shamrocks, Mustangs. Ooh, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck.
Oh, go to the chat in a minute.
How many teams are left?
I think I've got like 8 left.
Should we just end this round right now and go to the next one?
Well,
Yeah.
there isn't any other rounds. Thank God.
All right, so why don't we end it right here?
Actually, I've got to go. I have to get up really early in the morning for work. So it was really good to see everybody.
Ashley.
Good night, Ashley.
Gotta go
See you,
quiet.
Ashley. Have a good night.
Until
Take
next
care, Ash.
time.
Night.
Good night, good night, Ashley. Now it's
So
just
the winner.
us boys,
So the winner is Jay-Z.
of course.
Guy works at ESPN. It's not fair.
Hey, we didn't cover roller derby that long, and I wasn't there when it was. It was the T-Bird games, and then they had the Silver Cup with the Bay Bombers, the Pioneers, the Southern Stars, and the New York Eastern Express. So that was, I was still in college so at that point. But
So here's the ones we actually missed. And when I start naming them, you guys are gonna go, oh, and I want to hear O's to the ones you guys realize, oh, we missed completely.
Well, another one I can't remember was Brooklyn Red Devils as well.
That was one of them that we missed.
Wow, that was a good one.
That was the team that actually Georgia Haas actually was coach, or actually the manager of the team before she passed away.
The ones we missed that I had wrote down was the LA Turbos.
Yes.
Nobody mentioned the Texas Outlaws.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chuck,
that was
Yeah, I
my
had it wrote down twice then. Shame on me. Shame on your statistician.
there might be a second.
You suck.
What was that? Who said that?
There goes the round. Yeah,
That
it
was
said,
Rob.
did Texas have like two
Yeah.
franchises in 2 different leagues or something, maybe?
So
That's
the
why it's
other one
pushed
we
down
missed. The other one we missed was the Chicago Chiefs,
Okay.
the Orlando Thunder,
I don't know how I missed that one.
old age,
Hey, I was the coach of the Thunder, so I don't know how I missed.
one too many hits to the head. There we go. Got it. Okay. CTE is at its best now. Now it's hit roller derby. Dr. Chris Nowicki called. He wants to see you. The LA Aztecs
Oh, that's a great
Okay.
one. That was a great one.
and the LA Stars.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there was a few that we missed, but we covered a lot of them. So
Well,
give
actually, there's a
yourselves a
lot more
round of
older
applause,
roller games.
everybody, for playing along.
Good job.
I do agree. I do
Yeah.
agree.
I said a round
I'll
of
give to
applause.
Champa. I'll give to Tommaso Ciampa.
Actually, there's a lot of other roller game teams that weren't mentioned either. The Hollywood Stars, the San Francisco Clippers, the San Francisco Shamrocks, Arizona Chargers, Arizona Raiders.
Man, so ref could have gone all night.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waving the white
Flag on the
flag.
play.
I think Tom won, actually. Sorry, Jay-Z. Referee Tom beat
Y'all
you.
got
I can
Here's
see
a,
it. It's like, I wouldn't have
a
gotten
unique
those.
team. There was actually in 1964, there was a team that only lasted one series. The Texas Vaqueros played 5 games against the Detroit Devils in El Paso, Texas, and then folded. Very
Wow.
rare team. One series, 5 games.
Mm. All right. Well,
So now that we've played our little game, and yes, it took about the time that I thought it would. So now that we played our arcade game or trivia game, now everybody's thinking caps are on, and we're talking teams. Open floor discussion, favorite memories, favorite moments, maybe that we haven't mentioned yet, maybe a new one that might have come to mind since the last time we all got together.
well, I would like to mention this before we get into that.
Oh
Now
yes,
we have a few more people here.
I actually have it in front of me.
So do I. Now, if you guys haven't, please go out and buy Laura Weintraub's book. All I can say is I literally got it and I read it from start to finish. I did not put it down. It's very easy to purchase. Just go on Amazon.com and just really all you gotta do is just punch in her name and it'll pop right up.
It's just like $9.
It's not in Kindle. It's not in Kindle or anything like. It's just paperback, right?
No, I think you can get it in Kindle.
Yeah, I think you can
I think
get it
it's
in
available.
Kindle. So yes, Pooh Bear.
You think she'll do an audiobook of it or no?
I don't know. I mean, I asked her if she can come on tonight, and also asked her obviously if we can promote her book. She doesn't really come on that much since she's busy with her family. So, I figured we'll just promote the book because we know people will see it once we post it up on YouTube, even if there's people that don't come on the show tonight. But yeah, definitely worth a purchase. A lot of stuff in there that I read that I was like really shocked that she went through.
I don't want to give away what I've read. I've got about halfway through the book, but I'll put it this way: what we saw on TV of Miss Weintraub, I'll put it this way: she played a very good character given the fact of the things that she went through at a very young age.
Yeah, like Bill just nailed it right there. I mean, absolute sweetheart of a person, but just going through so much crap underneath.
Yeah.
So entertainment for you.
Yeah. So if you guys get a chance to, make sure you guys purchase the book and read it all the way through.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, once you start it, you're just gonna read it until you finished, because that's exactly what happened with me.
Yeah. I might even read a little bit tonight before I got to go to bed, because somebody's got a bowl in the morning.
And the Yankees just took the lead.
Rob, we're here discussing roller derby and all parts of it, not baseball.
And everything else.
The beautiful thing about me having the controls here is I can even mute my own co-hosts if they get out of line.
Hey, which I already had to do twice, I believe. But yeah.
Hey,
like
Rob has a nice shadow there.
Yeah.
It's a great 5 o'clock shadow. Hey, we can't hear you, Rob.
You can't hear me?
No, I'm talking about Dunning.
Co-host Rob.
Co-host Rob, we can't hear him. He's muted.
You've been realied. Oh, yeah, there you go.
This fucking guy. Oh, dude.
I'm so glad this episode will air and not the famous Lost episode.
Yeah. And by the
Oh
way,
God,
yeah,
And the
that,
people
that
that were
episode
there
will
that
forever
night know
remain lost.
exactly what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
yeah,
Such good
that'll be
shit.
more. That episode will be more lost than the actual seven
lost
rollers
episodes
that we
yeah.
never saw on TV.
Yeah,
Like,
the roller
until
jam
now.
games that we're now finding, that
Yeah.
lost episode will never see the light of day because I already deleted it.
Good move.
Speaking of which, yeah, to give my favorite moment, yeah, it was nice to finally see Slopey actually get some love for a change, like in an actual storyline. Because I was like, yeah, because I'm like, dude, he's like the only all-star that really didn't get like all-star treatment throughout the series.
He was one of the best jammers in the league, and I kind of feel like after like the first few episodes, I feel like he kind of took a back seat after the first season to like McDaniel and some of the other well-known jammers.
And
Yeah,
But I do remember he had his own entrance though, even in the later episodes.
yeah,
blame Rocket Reese's older brother.
Right. Also, it's like not to say that he didn't have personality, but he did. But there were just so many big personalities on the Quakes between Atkinson, and then later they added Posse Shalid, and then of course you had the Bod Squad. It was a team of just huge personalities. So I mean, and again, not that he didn't have any, but it's easy to get lost in the shuffle when you've got that many people. It's who get a lot of screen time and storylines. I mean, it felt like, I mean, every week if the Quakes were on, there was either something with the Bod Squad, something with Sean, or both. A lot of the time.
I told him in the lost episode that they were able to post up that he in the later episodes he started taking off his jersey like Posse. So Posse would come out and then he would come out, right? And I told him, I was like, it's like the Steve Rogers effect. You know, it's like when he took the super soldier serum, but he was really skinny in the movie. Posse would be the after effect.
Yeah, the after comes out before the after comes out first, then the before.
If they would have done it that way, that would have been funny, right? Like let Slopey come out first and then Posse.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, I was like, even though if you like kind of saw the like Demolition Derby, I also had to crack up about the minis with like Little Nasty. And,
wait till you see those episodes.
I already did.
I know why they cut those.
Yeah.
That was such good shit.
Yeah. Yeah, those episodes really fell short.
Oh,
I wonder what. I wonder why.
Reese, did you say they fell short?
Yes.
Hold on here. Everybody say it as I hold up the fingers. Are you ready?
One.
Say the word. What word am I thinking here? Okay, I'll just say it. That's what she said. I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's a lot of "that's what she said" being said tonight.
Yes, there is.
It is. And sometimes it's not a bad thing.
I would have
Put it this way: this episode will get aired, and everybody's gonna see like me being all turned up. They're gonna be like, "What is up with him?"
I would have loved to seen Icebox make an appearance on Roller Jam. Just pop out of there, come through the crowd or something.
Was waiting on my call. I was waiting on the phone call.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see Icebox hit the deep freeze on Big Nasty.
That'd be good.
That would be something.
But what team would he go for? What team would he be good for?
I would say either the California Quakes or the Florida Sundogs.
Yeah, I
The
would.
Sundogs never really, like, after they lost Bill Barker.
But he could have. But Ice could have been a perfect replacement for Barker.
I think Icebox would have been a great Sundog. He would have been
Actually, when they lost Barker, that's when they disbanded altogether. Because remember the match where Sean was on the Enforcers, and then Big Nasty was like he was the Hulk Hogan, and it was the third man.
Right. Yeah, that was the one where it's like they when they ran off the Prophet. Yeah. Although then he came back in the lost episodes. It's like
The final episode. I see it came back for the very last after, and then that was.
You know what? Okay, plot twist. The icebox was the Prophet.
Okay.
Would have been different.
No, but I could see Ice as a Sundog. I really think, because coming off the T-Birds, they were the T-Birds of Roller Jam. They were trying to build them as that style team.
They were trying to, but unfortunately, it was a different era, and fans wanted to see more edginess with a face team.
Which is
I couldn't even see Ice being on the Riot.
No, not no Illinois Riot. Honestly,
hold on. We're actually saying
I could see it because they were gathered in the beginning Riot, the beginning.
Yeah, because they were supposed to be the old school team.
Yeah,
Richard,
Pad, and Patsy.
Yeah, I could have seen Ice on
and
that
Faith.
Because they had more to the throwbacks.
But you know what
and have Richard Brown and Icebox on the same team, that would have been interesting to see.
And then they have a 5-lap anything goes to determine who stays on the Riot and who goes. Sorry, Richard. Nice knowing you. Just became a Texas rustler.
Oh, good thing Richard's not here to hear that.
Oh wow.
They took some good bumps in that match race. Robles and King.
Right.
Yeah.
Although remember, it's like Richard was on 3 Roller Jam teams because he started out as a Sundog, then they was traded to the Dice, and then when the Riot started, he moved to the Riot.
Which was so awkward to see him as a Sundog and a Dice. I don't know. It didn't fit for me. It just looked weird.
He played a much better heel on Roller Jam than a babyface.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he was pretty heelish when he was on the Hot Dice, though.
Yeah. Ask JR.
Yeah, because Richard Little said that the Sun Dogs will regret letting him go, and he called them the Sun Puppies. Little Richard got himself ejected in 2 straight games in his last games as a Sun Dog.
Yeah, and I remember the storyline that the Sundogs didn't want him because he was too dirty of a player, and
and then the irony of the biggest irony of that is that Sean was actually the sane one in this match.
I wish they would have kept like that kind of first the way they had it, where they would trade players, because that was the only huge big trade that they kind of made a big deal out of, right? After that, they really After that, people would change teams, but they didn't make as big a deal about it.
Maybe the Denise trade, I would say, would probably be the only.
Well, let's bring Tom into this discussion on this one. Do you think roller derby, roller games, whatever, would have benefited more? And Icebox, this one's actually a good one for you to answer too. If they would have actually built in like legitimate sporting trades, and the reasons behind them and stuff like that, like into the storylines, do you think it would have helped advance?
I think it would have, yeah. It would have made it look more legitimate. Every time they did storylines, it was like, somebody was getting picked on, it would. Sally Vega was on the Devils, and she was not getting along with Lori Gonzalez, and they fired her, and then she went to the T-Birds, stuff like that.
Right.
The same way like they did Trotter, and when he went from the Outlaws, when Quarles fired him to the Warriors.
Right.
He never really did any kind of legit trade-in type things.
Right. Or I remember this, when they first started putting the T-Bird games on ESPN, the storyline was that the paperwork for extending Randy Whitman and Cindy Phillips' rookie status had been lost So it's like Cindy Phillips like never turned up on TV, but Randy was claimed by Georgia Haas for the Devils, and then Georgia was loaning Randy out to everybody that the T-Birds played for a while.
They did that with Debbie Held, and they did it with a lot of skaters. Basically, they kept doing the same storylines over.
Right.
And over.
I think they did it with Darlene Langlois, and then
Yeah,
for rock and roller games, they did it with the Van Galder twins.
Yeah.
Well, even when back in, I think it was 1984, when I went to the Olympics, they, I guess there was a storyline where if a manager abused their skater, then they would lose, their contract was null and void, and they did. That was Stephanie Garcia and another skater named Bobby Ray. Both, when they both went to the T-Birds for, let's see, Stephanie was with them for at least a year, maybe 2 years, and then I think Bobby never. I think she only finished out the rest of the season and never came back.
Yeah, it's like I remember like going through some of the the historical sites and stuff, and it's because I know the T-Birds have. It's like it's weird seeing Stephanie Garcia in team photos as a T-Bird. It's so weird.
Jay-Z or Chuck, or you guys can answer. You can refresh my memory. What was the whole purpose behind the twins for the rock and roller games? Why were they so enamored to break them up?
According to the story, the way it went in the story, I guess apparently there's, supposedly they didn't fill the paperwork out right, and supposedly both teams, was it the
Violators and Maniacs.
Yeah, the Maniacs supposedly claimed one of them was theirs, and they took the other one out there, so they split them up, and then next thing you know, quote unquote abuse happened by Skull against Jennifer, and then Guru Drew harassed Christine. Next thing you know, they're back with T-Birds.
I'm about to say they pulled the Mighty Ducks storyline. What was it? What was
Adam Banks.
Adam Banks.
Because
he was on the
Adam
Hawks,
Banks.
and
It's like
he was drafted wrong.
He's because they had changed the district lines, and so it's like Banks actually lived in the Ducks district and not the Hawks district. Why I remember that, I don't know.
The line was now south of the lake.
Yeah, because it was like which was it was Jan or Hans or one of those two.
It was Hans.
That he pointed out that if they did it when Gordon was playing, he would have never been a Hawk.
He would have been a Duck.
Yep, I remember that.
But they were not. No, they weren't called the Ducks when he was little. They were what was it?
The Ducks were not an existent team.
District 5.
Back then, the Ducks were not an existent team. They were created.
Yeah. It's amazing what that movie spawned out of it, right? You got an actual NHL team out of that. You got
So just to clear it up, because he said NFL first and not NHL, he got muted.
Oh, Johnny.
Del Reale.
Well, in fact, I guess when I was talking about Stephanie Garcia being, I guess her contract is null and void with the Devils, like at that time, because Georgia Haas abused her. And I think it was in 1985. Renegades came out of, I guess they brought them out of retirement, I guess, and so they played again, T-Birds and the Renegades at the Anaheim Convention Center. And I guess Georgia Haas was kind of teasing her, come on, join me with the Renegade jersey. And so I guess around the third skating period, the women's skating period there, they I guess she said, okay, screw it. So I'm going to go ahead and so she literally just took the jersey. The girls all gathered around her on the bank track there, right there, basically right like 20 feet away from me. She just took her top off, put the new one on, and then she went back to she was back to the heel. She was so much better as a heel.
Oh yeah,
she is such a great skater, and I think she was in her element when she was a heel.
Oh yeah.
Already.
Yeah, it's like I remember the rock and roller games where they like the teased out hair and the lightning bolt makeup. It's like and I think Don Lastra sent her to the penalty pod every game.
Icebox apparently lost connection, or
someone was at the door.
Yeah, I think he's coming back because I see somebody coming through.
Yeah, he said, be right
Yeah,
back.
it's the captain.
But
it's amazing, right? Because that was during the Rock and Roller games came out right towards the tail end of the metal band, like the hair band.
Right.
mhm.
What would have happened if they would have waited just a little bit longer and
That,
Grunge
that
came
was
in?
that was 1989.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wish they could have done at least 1 or 2 more seasons. I mean, I'm disappointed how they canceled the show.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
they
like,
were canceled because I guess Quintex they were the financial backer. They filed
Mhm.
bankruptcy and that canceled the whole thing out right there. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they would have had a second season.
yeah, because supposedly they were actually doing at least comparable, if not better ratings than American Gladiators, which came out at the same time. But again, it's like the Quintex, which was bankrolling them, was also their distribution company. I believe they were Australian. It's just the bottom dropped out on them, and there was no money to keep going, unfortunately.
If there's a reboot of roller games, what would be one thing that they would replace in the overtime period without the Gators? What would be one thing that they would replace the Gators with if there's overtime in a reboot of roller games?
I think
Personal-
my personal opinion, I think they should just have like a 5-lap match race. Anything goes.
Yeah.
I have an opinion on this one. That would be my second option. Would be each team pick a skater, but that would be more for, I think, more reserved for a championship. The 5-lap anything goes. I think if it's in the regular season or even in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, it should be half a period each. So half period women, half period men.
Yeah.
The Gator concept on paper sounds like, extreme, but then when you really like,
Yeah, when you watch the one time that they did it, it's like, yeah, it's you sort of saw it's like, okay, this is their way around getting anybody like bitten. But yeah, there've been various ways. Like I remember MSG Network in the 80s used to show the Bay Bombers before the Silver Cup on ESPN, and it was like one year the Bombers were in the championship game against the Eastern Express, and they did sudden death, which feels like it's hard. It would be hard because again, it's like it's like you take roller derby where there's a lot of scoring, and all of a sudden it's like you're trying to make it like you jam in like 2 or 3 jams with no score before somebody actually scores. If I remember correctly, that champion, I think Joan Weston got the winning point, but I feel like when I saw it, I feel like I don't think sudden death works here. I see what they're going for, but I don't think it works because it sort of it changes the nature of the game to have a lot of like jams in quick succession with no score. Although when they did the Silver Cup on ESPN, the championship game for that between the Bombers and the Pioneers, they actually did a lot of that. It was a 4-period game instead of 8, and the final score was 9-7. Jerry Cattell got 2 points for the Pioneers on the last game. It was 9-7. It was like watching Thursday Night Football.
No.
Yeah, especially that.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't one of the roller jam games end like 10-8 between the Forces and Quakes?
10-9. I remember that 10-9 game. I mean, that would have been more fun watching paint.
Last season of Roller Jam, they'd be scoring low.
Well, as Richard has said, roller jam, they wanted to mimic the scoring more of that of traditional roller derby, low scoring games.
And
where a 19 to 20 game would be a winner. 20 points would be a winner. Where roller games was more offensive based.
Right.
With it being 8 periods, it wasn't common to see a team drop 100 points.
Yeah, like some of you go, there's like there are a decent amount of T-Bird games, or at least the second halves of T-Bird's games, because that's usually what they aired on KTLA. And that you come on, it's like, and at halftime, it's the T-Birds 51, the Devils 50, and both teams would usually end up in the 90s or low hundreds by the end of 8 periods.
Yeah.
I remember one Warriors game that I was watching on TV way back when. I forget who they were skating against, but it was 96-96 going into the final jam. And the Warriors scored 32 points on the final jam and won it 128-96.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Dang, it sound like that riot comeback when
Mhm.
yeah,
Right. Or
when
the
Travis and Mo wound up scoring like 10 points every jam or something.
yeah, or in rock and roller games, the bad attitude comeback against Hot Flash, where I think on the last two jams, David Arismendes had something like 30 points over the two jams. And that was with I don't even think he tried for the wall of death on the jump on the second jam because they tried to play it off like he was so exhausted from the previous one.
Yes. Speaking of stuff like Wall of Death and Jetway, if they're in a reboot, you think they would keep that, the Wall of Death and the Jetway? Because I believe that those two are like bonus points. Like when they send out a jetter or a jammer out to score, those two are like bonus points, the Wall of Death and the Jetway.
Okay, Terrence, you're getting muted for even bringing up the wall of death or the jet jump in any kind of rebooted roller derby, just because that is absolutely ridiculous. And that should never be included in any carnation of the game of roller derby.
Right.
No offense, negative points on that one.
Right.
And even David Sam said it would cost too expensive to even put
to
those
transport it. Yeah. No,
Well, besides the fact, no jet jump, no wall of death. Terrence, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, the times Danny has been on, it's like he said, it's like, that was part of the thing. It's like they can, I think before Quintex bottomed out, they were thinking about touring, but they couldn't figure out how do we transport this thing in terms of the wall at the very least.
That was a gimmick, wasn't it? The wall, it was just basically just a gimmick.
Well, they said it was supposed to be able to be transported, so it should be separate from the whole thing from the track. So it's supposed to be in two different pieces.
Yeah, because there's like it was you could get 2 or 6 points on the wall, 2 or 6 points on the jump, and most of the 6 pointers were usually scored by the men. I know Matt Bickham had a ton of them. I want to say there was one woman on bad attitude. I want to say, was it Margaret Christopher? It's like who had a decent amount of 6, but it's like she was like the one woman. It's like who put up a lot of 6s on the wall. But other than that.
Do you think rock and roller games kind of had a missed opportunity by not having any of the teams literally from any city or represented? They were just
not at the time. I don't think so. And I'll interject on that one as a host, and maybe somebody can back me up on this. I don't think at the time of the show coming out, necessarily having teams of the city or states really mattered all that much because it was a different era in the late 80s. It was more hair band, hair metal.
Right.
And just wanted teams with like cool names and cool.
Right.
Yeah, it was more about being cool.
Yeah.
Than actual gameplay. And
basically rock and roller games was like they were like the bad boy version of the Pistons, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
how much hairspray can you waste on your hair?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and the only team that was on there that had any city name was the T-Birds because they're Los Angeles Thunderbirds, and there was nobody else that had any city name or anything like that.
No, and I remember when they switched over when they were on ESPN, it's like they had moved away from city name, with the exception of the T-Birds, from city names to regional names. Detroit Devils became Northern Devils, Texas Outlaws became Western Outlaws, New York Bombers became Golden State Bombers. The only other team that had a city name was that the formerly Chicago and Northern Hawks were actually the Hollywood Hawks, with Guru Drew as their manager.
They wanted to go with more generic names in the region, so you couldn't really identify them as specific. Especially because it's like for the vast majority of those, I think with all the exception of one, when the T-Birds ESPN era, the games were showboat in Las Vegas. The only one that wasn't, they did it. It was fairly random. They did like one game from an Eastern tour where they were skating against the War Chiefs on an Eastern tour, and it was one ESPN game from, of all places, the Hartford Civic Center. Yeah.
It's like it was probably. I don't know.
Is there also a team that was like I know like the Hot Days were originally supposed to be called the Las Vegas High Rollers, but wasn't there like the High Rollers team like in any other league, like before or maybe even after?
There was a High Rollers team, and it was supposedly the Las Vegas High Rollers. I think if Lolly was here, she could talk more about that.
Maybe Tom knows that answer.
Yeah, there was, I believe there was a High Rollers team. I think it was one of those leagues that they tried doing in Las Vegas. There was a group, because Lolly was supposed to be captain of a team there. So again, like, Lolly would remember that more, but I don't know if they even actually played any games, but I heard they were going to do this league and they're going to have a High Rollers team, and they were going to have like the San Francisco team, like a couple other teams. But yeah, I don't know if that really ever got off the ground. If they did, they only played a couple of games. You hear about so many leagues, and most of them never come about. I mean, if they had, if every league that they ever talked about doing, we'd have like 500 leagues going on.
Well, in 2009, on Halloween night, Lolly did have her Las Vegas High Rollers play the Los Angeles Blackhawks, which was actually
I remember that too.
But that's the only thing that ever came about of it. I think Lolly has her team now too, but I'm not sure if it's the High Rollers or if it's something else.
The National Hockey League has entered the chat.
Yeah, Kyle Bell was supposed to be running they're going to try and start a new league in Vegas. And I think that was going to be High Rollers, if I'm not mistaken. But again, the pandemic hit and nothing ever happened with that either. Pam was trying to do a league. She was doing a training school in San Francisco area. And then the pandemic hit and then she disappeared. So, I mean, you hear about all these leagues, but, nothing ever comes of them.
I got to get going, guys. Nice meeting everybody.
Take care.
Good seeing you, Captain.
Take care.
Good one. Bye.
Right. Later, Carolina. Ew. I was doing something else too. Like,
glad to see the captain on tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Honest take. What do you guys think about Whip It? Did it hurt the perception of roller derby? Yes or no?
Which one?
Whip It,
with Ellen Page and Drew Barrymore.
I never saw the movie myself, but from what I heard, it had very little to do with roller derby. It was just mostly it was just basically based on a person who was into roller derby. That was it.
Yeah, and I think it was more of a depiction of like a lot of the current leagues you see, the all-female flat track leagues. So
that league was actually banked in the movie.
Oh, that was? It's like I didn't see it. So it's like
it was a Texas-based bank track league. Yeah, I actually went and watched the movie. We're number two. We're number two.
Yeah, that's the one scene I saw. It's like when it was on flipping channels and it was on one of my movie channels. It's like, but then so it was.
Jason Belmonte called. He wants a water bottle.
Yeah, because I was like, I think if they would have focused less on Ellen Page's character not being like trying to get away from her beauty pageant like persona, actually focused a little bit more on the derby itself, I think it could have told a better story. But the movie, for what it was, I wouldn't say it was a terrible movie, but it wasn't a great one either. What the? Is that Vivian?
That's my dog.
Oh,
he hears somebody outside the door. My neighbor probably just came home.
It sounded like the werewolf from
yeah,
Harry.
He has some hound in him.
Yeah, I'm
quit telling everybody lies and tell everybody the truth that Rob is over at your house right now in the other room.
Actually, it's my wife being tortured.
Oh,
Lucas. Lucas.
Whose phone ringing?
It would be nice if they would come back with like a major, either roller jam or rock and roller games. It would be nice.
Oh yeah, it's
You know what I also thought of? All right, remember, like I actually thought, like if they would have taken what eventually was season 1, if they would have made a couple of, remember the games that were actually like 6-period games? They would have had that be like a practice ranch. So like you have a quote unquote practice team, and then all of the main teams got to skate once against them. That could have been your prelude, and then when you actually launched into season 1, everybody was familiar with like all the teams.
So you're saying roller derby should have had an enhancement talent team?
Something like that.
Or I just heard somebody like laugh.
Talent team by like just like a quote unquote like a practice squad.
Yeah, enhancement talent.
Oh no, wait a minute. They didn't have to exactly be jobbers because like like I said, the practice team could.
So you're saying instead of them being shut out, that they get like 3 points a game,
or at least make it somewhat like they could like threat. But then, like, maybe have the main teams win on the final jam or whatever.
Well, you can make stars like that because you can have them be loser, 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 and then finally you can do something where they get that big win.
Yeah,
so
we did that
you're
once.
saying a
They were
team
called
like
the Rustlers.
Texas Rustlers.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for with the Rustlers. They were trying to do that with the Rustlers, but how can you do that when you have Lindsey Francis? You have the.
Well, that was the key. The first season where they sort of made them, the jobbers to the stars. It was, that was pre-Lindsey and pre-David Gletty and some of the people who were on in season 2. But although they did give them one, it's like I remember it's like they had the last regular season game. They had them beat the Enforcers just to make things a little bit more interesting. After like the Enforcers like steamrolled them the previous times they played. But it's,
in all seriousness, like we always say, what if we would have got a 5th season, right? What if we would have had that 5th season? If you really think about like we've been doing this show for a while now, and like a lot of the stories that have come out from the skaters, it would have been a completely different show. Because how many people had one foot already out the door during season 4? They completely, if you pay attention to the lost episodes, they completely demolished the Sundogs.
Yep.
They got rid of the Sundogs. That was their plan going forward. And there was plenty of skaters that were out that door. Season 5 would have been completely different. It would have probably been a rebuilt stage for them.
It probably wouldn't have made it out of production. They would have seen like the people at the network would have seen the quality of games probably and been like, we can't do anything with this. I mean, unfortunately, with Roller Jam, let's just back it up a little bit. Unfortunately for Roller Derby, and Tom can probably piggyback off of this, and maybe Big Pimpin' can back me on this one. Roller Derby ended prematurely, way too prematurely, and Roller Jam went the wrong direction too quick.
Yeah. Roller Jam was good when it first started. It was looked legit. They were going like I remember the first game even ended. Referee Corbin overturned points because there was holding on the last jam, so it looked very good. It looked like almost like traditional derby. And then by the end of the 2nd or 3rd season, they're throwing tables and chairs at each other. Nothing's being called.
They're just trying to make a pro wrestling.
I remember I was at the tapings in Las Vegas. Was that season 2, I think?
Yeah.
In Las Vegas. I was living in Vegas at the time. And I went to the tapings. And there was one game, the Dice, I forget who they were skating. I think it was the Riot. And the Dice were down one jam to go, they were down by something like 30 some odd points. But they were supposed to win the game. And while I was looking at the scoreboard, 10 points mysteriously were deducted from the other team's score. Instead of 86, all of a sudden they had 76. And then the dice scored enough points on the next jam to win the game.
Oh, you know what? I think I know which team that could have been, because I think it was the Quakes game, because I remembered. All right,
Was there a game
had the
roller jam that high scoring?
Back at Say it again, Bill. Yeah, because I think like Weber had the bench, but then Floppy Krebs I think ducked it, and then hits Mike, and Weber was the other jammer, and then Sean comes in, and then he headbutts the bench again, and then they jump it. But then for some reason they only gave like a certain amount of points or whatever, even though like Floppy and Krebs kind of passed the entire pack.
It was kind of funny. Mark Webber and Jason McDaniel both got out on the jam, and they circled the field twice, so that's 20 points. It wasn't quite enough, and they looked like they were going to stop. And Corbin is like madly waving them on to keep going for another lap.
I don't blame like Danny Wolf or like the writer. They did what they were told. They were being told by the network, hey, be more like WWE. And I'm gonna say no to the people that are paying you.
Oh, I do occasionally.
Yep. I think I don't blame them for it. The network just wanted to piggyback off of what was popular at that time.
What they wanted to do is they wanted to piggyback not off of WWE or WCW. They wanted to piggyback off of ECW with the tables, the chairs, quite frankly, the stupid shit that they should have never introduced into the game of roller derby, because now if it does come back on the air, the younger generation are going to watch the games of roller jam because they're more prevalent on YouTube, and they're going to say, is this what I'm going to look forward to seeing? This is really cool, when in actuality they need to go the other direction and present roller derby in the actual pure form of the game that it should be.
Like old Bay Bombers games.
Bay Bombers games, T-Birds games, traditional games. I don't care if they're high scoring. I would love to see a little more scoring here and there, but I'd like to see a mixed bag of that. Not all games are, score the same in all sports. Occasionally, like right now, I'll use an example of what I'm watching on TV in the living room. Notre Dame's losing 13-7. Low scoring affair. They're in third quarter, where Notre Dame also has dropped 45 on this Stanford team.
Yep.
So I'd like to see a mixed bag. Maybe one game be 96-98, but then the next game be a defensive battle. I would like to see that variance to maybe present the game, even if it is in a predetermined state, make it be more believable to the general public.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe Jay-Z, Tom, I don't know if you guys can piggyback and agree on this, or throw your takes out. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mentioned the Bay Bombers because it's like I remember from reading. It's like it's obvious, and it was in '73 or thereabouts when Bill Griffith was like purchased the roller derby from the Seltzers, and then everybody was under one umbrella for a little while. But you had some fans and some skaters. But Griffith's presentation was a little too theatrical, and eventually the union didn't really last. So, but even still, it was like the T-Birds still compared to the roller jam looks more like traditional roller derby. Well, even though some might say it's like the Bay Bombers are more traditional. The T-Birds were a little more. T-Birds were a little bit more theatrical. Rock and Roller Games was, of its time, late 80s, the big hair and the theatrics, and then Roller Jams started out more traditional and then got into way more theatrics over the course of its run.
Yeah, few people don't know it, but when roller games first started, they were very derby-like. The scores were pretty low. They were doing scores like, 25, 15, 30, 28, stuff like that. They were derby-type scores. And then over the years, the scoring just gradually kept getting more and more, especially when Griffiths took over. Griffiths loved the fast-paced, high-scoring games. And then he took it to the extreme when they were going out, scoring 150 points a game each team. It went too far on it. But basically, from 61 up to, I would say, about 69 or so, the roller game scores were pretty much the same as derby scores. Every now and then they go over 100, they'd have 100 points, but most of the scores were like anywhere from the 50s to the 60s. And even when the Warriors came to Philadelphia in 1967, Buddy Atkinson Jr. was running the team, and he had Mike Gammon, Judy McGuire, Drew Scott, all from Derby. And they skated a very Derby-type game. So like in 1968, you had a game like LA, they were scoring like 150, scored might be like, 120 to 110. Philadelphia, they had scores of 41 to 40. So they were skating a very Derby-type game in Philadelphia, because it was actually called, they had two different styles in roller games. They called it Roller Games East and Roller Games West. You had the T-Bird style and you had the Warrior style. And then the Warrior games gradually started getting more high scoring also. But they never were as high scoring as the T-Bird games. They'd go over 100 points every now and then, but very rarely. Most of their games were like anywhere maybe like, 80, 90, 100 points. And I think the most I ever saw them score in one game was around, I think like 150, 138, something like that.
That's a lot of points.
Games I know they had one game against the Devils in December '71, and the one that was the last game of the series, the Warriors won 138 to 79. Because they just blew them out. They did do that every now and then. They did do blowouts for the home teams. But again, in LA at the same time, I remember December '72, they were doing games, and the Keepers were winning a couple of games, like I think 201 to 150. So they were getting like really extreme at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't need that many points. You're betting if you keep it like 80, 90, 100 points, maybe a little go over 120, but you didn't need scores that high. It was ridiculous.
But you could actually see it be more believable to the public if you had a game that was that high scoring, and then the next day, the next game on TV would be a 45 to 47 game where, where you could have the announcers really stress the two teams are strong defensively, and really talk offense, defense, in the game.
There was one game I saw, they tried that too, in the Interleague Series, January '73, when the Hawks were playing the Pioneers in the Midwest. And most of the games are typical Derby scores in the 40s and the 50s. And one game, they had this game on TV, and Philly decided to try something different. And the first points of the game weren't scored till like the last minute of the third period. The final score is something like 14 to 12. That's a full 8-period Derby game. That's what it was back in the 40s. Because I don't know if you're familiar with the scores back then. I have a game from 1950 or 1949 from Philadelphia. The final score was 14 to 11. So Derby scores gradually got, faster pace too. Because that had to keep up with the demand. It was like, you look at the time, like back in the 50s, look at how slow wrestling was. You'd have guys laying on the mat for like 10 minutes doing a headlock. And games and Derby were doing the same thing when they basically started. They were keeping a low scoring, a little slower pace. And then as everything else picked up, and people wanted more excitement, that's when they gradually started adding more scoring, more flash. So it didn't happen overnight. It was like gradually over like a 10, 15 year period.
Yeah. What do you think, Chuck? This is actually kind of more of a question for you. Do you think, do you think roller derby, if it was revived to a television standard today, do you think it would benefit more from more believability and scoring with fluctuation game to game?
I think so. I think if you have a variety of the skating and it'll be a lot better. I mean, they should rely less on the theatrics and concentrate a little more on the skating. I mean, it's okay if they do like maybe like every other jam or something like that. Maybe if they get physical or something like that. But when they do it every jam, it kind of gets a little boring and predictable. But if they kind of toned it down a little bit and just concentrate on skating, and maybe just do a little, but just be physical about it, and have a good scoring game, that really would really sell a whole lot better, I think, than just to have a blowout or whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally having a blowout wouldn't be so bad, I don't think, because it would be believable. You know,
Right, exactly. Not it's like as opposed to every game being decided on the last because which is what they did a lot with the Rustlers that first season. It's like, games involving the other teams would be much closer, and then somebody would skate against the Rustlers, and it would be something like 43-17.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
half
instead of
those
having
games
it,
are like over before, in the first half.
I mean, but that is the nature of real sports, though, too. The thing is, roller derby has to be presented as a real sport, even if it is staged. I mean, they're kind of doing that more now with WWE and pro wrestling, as they're making it seem like a more real sport. With AEW having actual win-loss records and stuff like that.
And they're classifying it as quote unquote combat sports.
Exactly. But that's how roller derby, if it is revived, I believe, in my belief, it has to be presented to the public as an actual realistic sport.
Exactly, yeah.
And not only that, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Back in 1970, there was an article in one of the Philly newspapers. Somebody wrote a story saying about why are the games so high scoring? And the Warriors at that point were scoring maybe like 180, 90 points a game, like each team scored. And so why are the scores always so high scoring? So Buddy Atkinson Jr. was running the Warriors at the time. So they're skating the Detroit Devils at the time with Leroy Gonzalez. So he got together with Leroy, decided to do a whole series of low-scoring games. So they went back to doing they did a 29-28 game. There was a 49-46 game. So they did every game in that series was very low scoring, just to show, well, it's not always high scoring, just to make it look more legit for that one series. But then after that they went back to doing basically the same thing again. But the Warriors always were more low scoring than the T-Birds were. So at least even with the Warriors at the 80, 90, 100 points, that was more believable than the T-Birds scoring like 170, 160 a game. So, but that did happen. So they wanted to try and prove that it was legit, because you could have low scoring games also.
Well,
and I'll
if
think like another thing.
If they do bring it back, it's safe to say that both Roller Jam and Rock and Roller Game, bottom line is they were just a product of their time. Both of them. Incarnation was a product of the time period. And half of the stuff that Roller Jam did wouldn't go over today anyway.
Right.
Especially that Shock TV era.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people want the Attitude Era back, but it's never gonna come back. We're not in that world anymore.
Right.
We're not. Everybody's PC. Everybody, you can't say certain things because you can offend somebody.
Right.
It's not that anymore.
Exactly.
No matter how much.
You mean you're telling me Denise Loden can't make peppermint patty jokes, and we all know what she was referring to?
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you, the language would be cleaned up. I'm telling you, it's very hard nowadays to.
But was the language really that bad on Roller Jam? Innuendos, yes.
Yes.
Big innuendos, but
Yes.
was the language bad? No.
No.
I'll tell you one thing, and I've always said this, and watching all 4 seasons, and as raunchy, you could say they got raunchy at times, but they were tamed in a lot of areas. I think if they wanted Mark D'Amato to really be that stone cold kind of fuck the authority type deal, they could have went there, and they didn't.
They didn't.
They tried to, but
they got close to the line, but they never went over it.
It was like a neutered version of Stone Cold with him.
You know what's actually the funniest part? I think out of all the teams, well, maybe with the exception of the Sundogs, I think the Enforcers cursed the least out of anybody on the show. I'm like, come on, man. These are New Yorkers.
Right. It was almost like they gave proof. It's like, we're New Yorkers. We don't have to. We're so tough. We don't have to. But it's like, as John was talking about products of their time with both rock and roller games and roller jam, it's like, I've said that. I think I've said this before on other chats. If you want a single picture that describes the late 1980s, big hair and all that, it is the Bad Attitude women's team picture. It is like everybody, big hair and headbands.
Yeah,
the whole team.
And this is coming from, and it's funny because it's coming from a network that had, like you said, it had ECW, but they wanted to neuter them too. They didn't want them to be what they were. They wanted them not to have this, not to have that. It's like, then why sign them to be on your network if you didn't want that?
That was always a weird fit because they were still on that transition from the Nashville network to the national network, and then eventually Spike TV. And it's like ECW always seemed like an odd fit there. And then
well, at least under Nashville, like if they would have held on long enough till when it became national, I think that could have been a little bit better because at least then they didn't have like that whole country music influence, whatever. So,
like I think D'Amato could have pulled off a Stone Cold-esque character, like a legit swear, and they would block out go back and watch a lot of the videos. They block out the dumbest words, like that were not even legitimate that bad. It's like even sometimes when they would just say, "I'll kick your ass," they blocked out the word "ass." So it's like, they were. You could tell, and even the oral authority. There could have been a lot more with that. You could have done a lot more with that. You could have done a lot more, and they didn't go there. They did. They dare not go there. Hell, even the bot squad. You could have went there. You could have really had a lot of any window type deals, but they didn't do that. They didn't go there.
Outside of maybe that one time Heather kind of
exactly didn't
happen. Right, because she made sure she was facing D'Amato and not the camera.
Yeah. Miss Kitty did it on pay-per-view.
Yes.
Jackie lost her top. They went there.
They did go there
several times. And who else was it? The girl.
Sable had some body paint on her too at one time in the ring.
Yeah, no, and the girl from the one that was with Rico.
Oh, Jackie.
Yes.
Jackie Gator.
Yeah, so they went there a few times. But I don't think it would happen again like that. We would. I think you guys. I think it's safe to say that we would get more of a pro sport style. And I would like to.
In this day and age, nobody would buy it if you did the old school style.
Yeah, and I think they should integrate like trades and free agencies. Make it legit. Make it a legit happening. Like that way that I mean, a lot of skaters that we know change more teams than we can count anyway.
So
And
we
not
all
only that-
agree, legitimize roller derby to make it feel like more of a legit sport. So we're talking realistic gameplay, right? We're talking realistic transactions amongst teams. Are we talking going back to periods and jam clocks and all that stuff?
Yeah, you should. I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like, because, I remember, watching Bay Bombers and T-Birds, and it's like, and it made sense because basketball had the shot clock. So it made sense. Like, you have this amount of time to score, and the game is broken up depending on, when you were watching 4 or 8 periods. So.
And
I agree.
not only that, I would also like incorporate a legitimate all-star game as well.
Oh, I'll back you up on that one. I was just thinking about that. You can back it up, because then you can have best of both worlds. You want to incorporate those fans from Roller Jam and that era, then incorporate the Demolition Derby once a year, one game. Get that. Add an all-star game. You have an all-star format. One of the match races is a Demolition Derby.
Well, you could do that. You could do that as, say, that's All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the home run derby of
roller derby.
The home run derby of roller derby, or the 3-point shooting contest, or the slam dunk contest, where you could have a weekend and it culminates in the All-Star game itself, which would be entertaining to the fans.
Right.
Let the cities bid on it. Like they kind of, don't they do that for the Super Bowl? Don't they like bid
storyline bid, John? Storyline. Remember, we're all doing this. The only part that is
somewhat kayfabe,
realistic, but we're still scripting it.
Yeah.
Just remember that it's still scripted roller derby, because that's what it should be.
Semi kayfabe.
Well, you wanted to have it. You wanted to have. I think also you wanted to have it in a different city type deal, because that'll make it unique. Every year will be unique. I think the simple fact that Roller Jam never really got the chance to tour, and it was always in that same venue. I think that was a huge thing that hurt them. You get the same crowd over and over again type deal. But if you get big enough and you can start really going into different towns and to different markets. I think to have an all-star game in a different market, like you guys are saying, I think that would be awesome. One day you can have one year you can have it in San Francisco or New York, whatever market will accept it.
Yeah, but the problem with Roller Jam, though, they never wanted to really tour. They were more interested in having a TV show than running live games. Now there was
episodes for syndication.
Yeah, there was one thing where they were going to actually do a game in Pittsburgh, and it never came off because there was 0 ticket sales, so it was canceled. And it was to a point, they didn't really want to tour, because Seltzer was very disappointed. I heard the way it turned out, because he's going to try and get him to tour like he did the first part of the year, travel all across the country. They didn't want to do that. All they wanted to do was shoot a bunch of stuff in studios and put out a TV product for syndication. That's all they were interested in. They were never interested in having it as a legit sport, or even looking legit, or like going with specific team names. They didn't care about any of that. They just wanted to put a package of games together they could syndicate all over the world. And that was all they were interested in.
Right. And that's the difference with, it's like, compared to the earlier, it's like, or even the more recent is, the T-Birds skating out of the Olympic, or the Bombers skating out of San Jose Civic Auditorium as being in an actual arena, or even the games in the Showboat on ESPN. It's like, okay, it wasn't a traditional arena, but at least looked more like an arena than a TV studio.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff out of the Showboat when you think about it in that time period.
AWA.
Right. Yep.
AWA, they had roller derby, they had
bowling.
Who said bowling?
I did.
Chuck did.
Well, yeah, I mean, that 106 lanes
Mm.
at the Showboat. I got to bowl there when I was 16. Speaking of that,
Oh.
so
Hey,
for
Chuck, you had
those
to
that
mention bowling because now I'm like, now it's like also thinking about what was that game show that used to come on before the Tuesday night roller jam? With the college kids.
Bill, you'll appreciate this. I did lane inspections at the Showboat when I lived in Vegas. Yeah, I was on the local association board there. We had a team of 16 inspectors go in to do that place. We were done in like an hour and a half.
Nice.
We
you
each
almost
took a
had
section
to
of the house.
cover all 106 lanes.
Do you imagine if you had one or two guys to do 106 lanes, you'd be there for a week?
Yep. Oh, at the very shortest, a week. I mean, the place was huge. I mean, for those that, we're going to get into the bowling topic here for a minute, and I'm glad that we actually are, since I am a bowler, it's one of those things, like, unfortunately it, ended. The demise of the Showboat, was very unfortunate, but for those that got to experience that atmosphere for not just PBA stuff, but they had the amateur high rollers and all that stuff there.
A lot of junior tournaments there.
It was the place to be. Like it was like, if you were a bowler, that was bucket list building to actually throw a bowling ball in, was the Showboat. And when I was 16, I got the privilege to go to the Showboat and bowl junior nationals there, the Junior Gold National Championships. It was in its third year of existence, and I was the last representative of any state, last entry to actually get in, because the deadline was the very next day, and I had to fill out the entry fee paperwork on Sunday night after I won the Indiana Masters. And they had to
what year
turn
was
in the
that?
Say what?
What year was that you bowled there in the juniors?
2000.
I was there. I was there.
Wow, small world.
I was working that tournament.
Okay, so you remember all the early hook they had on the high end of the low on the 1 through 70 side?
Yeah.
Good Lord, that
2000 and
pattern's still-
2001, I was there.
Okay, so you were there for that Junior Gold when I was in the building.
Yeah.
Do you remember they had the Texas barbecue and dance over in the one ballroom for the bowlers after? Remember that?
Yeah.
I'll get with you, 'cause I got a few
Pluhowski?
stories. I got a few stories about that Junior Gold that I'm
You
not
remember
sharing
Shannon
on here.
Pluhowski?
What was that?
You remember Shannon Pluhowski?
Yes.
She was bowling on the pairs that I was monitoring.
Okay, were you on the high
Really
side or were you on
impressive.
the low
God, she was
side?
good. Even at that young age, she was good.
Gotcha. Were you on the high side of that 1 through 70 side, or were you on the low side?
I was right around the mid 30s, I think.
Okay, so you were on the last pairs of pattern 1, because they had 3 patterns at the Showboat that year. They had 1 through, I think it was 1 through 34, 35 through 70, and then the pavilion side 71 to 106 was like a completely different bird over there. So
All right, now that we've totally bored everybody else.
yeah, now that we
Actually, I do have a bowling question for you of some sorts.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's like half bowling, half entertainment. How old were you in 2000, by the way, just for record?
You're talking about me?
Yes.
I was 16 that summer.
You're 16 now?
Yes, I'm
All right,
38
then actually,
now.
yeah, you would have been old enough for this one. Yeah, because I was wondering, do you remember the Disney movie Alley Cat Strike?
That came out about a year after that Junior Gold, and yes, I remember that movie. I still watch it on occasion. Completely unrealistic, by the way. The guy that was the pro bowler in the movie, not a real pro bowler.
Yeah.
But they did mention Guppy Troop in the movie, who, if you guys all know bowlers right now, his son is Kyle Troop that bowls on the national tour. And Kyle Troop is actually a really, really super nice guy. I will publicly speak highly of him. We crossed at a tournament many years ago, and we were taking turns seeing who we could clear the pair of with our gastrointestinal delights. So, Kyle,
I've heard good things about Kyle Troop.
I will publicly speak very highly of Kyle, and I know I'm gonna send this to him, send it to his girlfriend Brianna, because she and I are Facebook friends. I bowled Indiana Kentucky All Stars against her. It was 2003. She was on the Kentucky team, and 2004. So my last 2 years, she was on the Kentucky team. I was on the Indiana team. So yeah, I have direct contacts to Kyle, so I'll let him know we got mentioned on a Zoom call about roller derby.
How about that, huh?
Yeah. But no, the tie-in to this whole thing with the Showboat, believe it or not, Perry, when they were in Vegas for the Las Vegas shootout, I was hoping that they would actually go back to Vegas that summer that I was out there for Junior Gold. Because if they were, my goal was to actually go watch the games at the MGM in between.
Wild West Shootout 2.
Yeah, watch the Wild West Shootout 2
Yeah.
in between blocks at Junior Gold. And, go from the bowling center straight to the arena to watch the games and just kind of chill out and hang out or whatever. But unfortunately, they never went back to Vegas. So yeah, there is a tie into this whole thing. Because I was hoping to get tickets to the Wild West Shootout too. So
yeah, hopefully Tim wouldn't have been like hitting the sauce this time and nearly dropped the trophy.
But yeah,
all right, I got to split, guys. I got a dog that needs to go out.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say, I think one last final thought from everybody in regards to. Since this is the season finale, one last final thought of roller derby going forward. We've kind of already touched base on all of my feelings. Chuck, any last words on roller derby going forward?
I just look forward to if there's any more roller derby action from like on the professional side of it, bank track stuff like that. I would love to see it come back again, as long as they do it right. If you just have a nice balance of everything, it's gonna look really good. If it just keep it going, make it more legit, like we were talking about.
Referee Tom, what do you think?
Well, one thing I think you have to have is, you have to have deep pockets. That's one thing. You need a really good financial backer. Because it costs so much to get anything off the ground these days. You need like a ESPN or some other major network that's willing to bankroll it for a couple of years till you get it going, and then, they'll have a solid product to show. Also, you need qualified people to run it. That's part of the problem now. It seems like everybody that has 2 cents to rub together wants to start a league, and they have no idea what the hell they're doing. So you need qualified people, you need qualified staff. You have to do, a lot of training. Because basically now you're missing like a whole generation of skaters. So you basically have to start from scratch, getting like some of these flat track skaters and train them how to skate bank track. And that's part of the problem too, because they think they know everything. They don't want to listen to trainers from the old school to try and train them. They think they know everything and they don't. So you have to get qualified skaters. You have to train them to do the old school style, do the 5-stride. And all that, and it takes time to do all that. You're talking at least a year or 2 years to get all this stuff together. That's the problem right there. And if you got it off the ground, I think it would be very successful. If you got, people trained, you had a good network to be on, you had the financial backing to do it. I think it would be just as big as it was back in the 60s and 70s.
Very good, Perry. Last words, thought.
I like what Tom said. It's definitely a tremendous undertaking to get it done. But if it does get done, I would like to see it be more like the old International Roller Derby League under the Seltzers, because that was the closest to legitimate competition that any form of derby ever was. And that's what was attractive to me. It looked to me like, yeah, the outcomes were scripted, But for a good portion of that game, those guys were really out there going at it with each other. There was good, hard action out there. A lot of good defense, a lot of good blocking, and of course, there were a lot of good offensive plays, and the talent was just amazing. So, if it were to come back, that's the way I'd like to see it come back. Whether it's on quads or inlines, I don't care, but I'd like to see it look as much as a legitimate sport as possible without all the theatrics.
Jay-Z, Big Pimpin'.
Yeah, I concur with a lot of what Perry, Tom, and Chuck said. It's like, love to see it come back. Would love to see it in a more realistic form than than sort of what we had at the tail end of Roller Jam. Although obviously you do need you don't want to completely stifle the personality, because the sport has always had personalities, going back to the likes of Ann Calvello and Charlie O'Connell, et cetera, and so forth. So you don't have, but you have to strike the right balance between personality, and obviously it being be a little bit of the, but still try to keep it as realistic as possible. And again, whether it's bring back quads, whether you go in lines or whatever, it's I think if you make it look realistic and competitive, it's like I think there's an audience for it.
Rock and Reese, let's close this out.
Yeah, just to tie in with everybody. First, get some good training, because the skaters got to know how to effectively skate the game. Then let them get themselves over with their talent first before you let them show with the personality. And then also have effective promotion. Reach out somewhere and then get people or get viewers interested in the game before the game actually hits television. So that way they're already knowing, oh, this is what the show's about. Get a pilot maybe, just so they can have a general idea of how the game is supposed to work. And then if you're going to film it in front of live audiences, show them a pilot of the game before they watch their actual game stuff. Because you want a genuine reaction from your audience, because like Danny said, with a lot of time with the roller drinking, that people sit there and they have no clue what's going on, even if even if the public address announcer was kind of trying to explain the action, but a lot of people didn't know the people or the terminology, because like I said, it was their first experience watching the game. So it's like, basically just get your audience smartened up as to who's doing what and why they're doing it. So that way, the games can be a little smoother for them. And of course, the most important thing, make sure you have like an announce team that can relate the information to everybody, so that when they're presenting, it's not coming across as like stiff and boring. Like, they're excited to be there, the skaters are excited, and then the audience is excited, and more importantly, that'll get the home audience excited.
Well, I think we've all got some great thoughts. Roller derby going forward as we conclude season 2 of Beyond the Jam. I want to thank all you guys that came on tonight. Special thanks to referee Tom for hanging in there the whole episode. Especially at his twilight age. That was supposed to make everybody laugh.
Kind of, Bill, he does kind of look a little bit like Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God.
See, and that's how you do it there, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reese.
Well played, Reese.
I hope the skaters see that we're loosening up the reins a little bit on certain things with the show going forward. I hope next season we have a lot more skaters, a lot more fun, and you never know. Last year's season opener, 2 of your hosts were remote from one location, so that's always a possibility too. right, John?
Mm-hmm.
It's always a possibility. You never know.
And we talked about it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we've talked
you know
about
it helps when like if you've been on the show, just just let the other skaters let them know, like, hey, you want to come do this? You like it's fun. It actually is really fun. You can be yourself. Tell stories. Tell jokes. You want to take a little dig at somebody you didn't like? Go right ahead.
I took my fair share tonight.
Well, thanks for doing this, guys.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Good, everybody.
It's fun being part of the last two episodes.
We'll see you in 6 months.
Yep, we'll see you guys at the beginning of 2023, ladies and gentlemen.
Season 3 coming at you.
Season 3, ladies and gentlemen, from Mishawaka, Indiana, Casa de Crane.
That's the
BC3, your Beyond the Jam host. In about 8 hours, becomes Pound Cake, Bill Crane. Have a great night, everybody,
Right.
and be
Take
safe.
care.
Play that
Good luck
song
tomorrow, Bill.
Good luck, Bill.
Have
All
a good
right,
one,
good
guys.
luck. Good night, everybody.
Take care,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.
Good night, guys.